of reality that we live in, exist in, have to work in, and have to manage as best we can, given all the uncertainties and twists of fate that occur within our world line. I hope you enjoy this video, and we'll see where it goes. These are thoughts that translate directly to the way we live our lives, and the important factors in the way we live our lives are the ones that we can make a difference with, the ones that we can potentially do something with that makes for a more constructive existence, and exploring it in ways that really essentially are just thinking outside the box, just looking at things from a completely different angle to the traditional ways of looking at things. And that's got to be good, because when we're translating these principles to a social matrix, the human resource of people, then we're looking at things that we can very easily transpose from the micro to the macro and everywhere in between, which is essentially where we are. We are in between the micro and the macro. Quite where is a little difficult to fathom, but if you just imagine the scale of the part of the universe that we occupy, here's a beautiful picture of it. Then we can look at things in a more rational context. Discworld then. Okay, where's Discworld going to take us? You've seen this torus on previous videos that I've done regarding time, and there are a few of them, so do go back over the annals of history and quantumology and find out what's there, because a lot of those previous videos do more to explain the concepts that I'm introducing in this one. So this torus of time then is essentially the waves from the past moving towards the future, and the waves from the future moving towards the past. And that's essentially what we live with. The opposite of retrocausality is causality, which is what we experience. We experience causality. We have a cause, and that cause creates an effect. That's how it happens. We only see life in one direction. We see this movement of entropy in one direction only. We don't see the syntropic backflow. We don't experience it consciously at all. Now that doesn't mean to say that it's not there, and it doesn't mean to say that it doesn't have a great deal of influence over the way we work and operate. And here's where I've represented us as a singular unit, as an individual entity, a singularity, if you like. There's us sitting in the middle of this torus of time, which is very personal. It's a personal construct because nobody else is moving through the same space-time as we are. So our worlds are very, very different from each other, and that's why this disc is a singularity disc. It's a singular thing. We've got then a flat platform to operate from. Everything is spinning. All singularities spin. It seems to be a feature of the universe that everything spins. Electrons spin. You name it. It doesn't matter. Micro, macro, everything in between. It all spins. So we're doing the same thing, to my mind. And as we spin, we shift our trajectory. So whichever direction we're heading for in this disk of opportunities, probabilities, possibilities even, we can only see ourselves moving from the present to the future. But all these lines of force, these lines of time that converge to make up these options, put us in a state of being presented with options all the time. And not just options on the way we actually look at the future and do things with the future, but options also on the way we look at the past. and how we comprehend the influence of the past. One of the things that we want to be really clear on here is that the events we move through in time are moving in both directions. Things can't help but change. And we keep on proving this. If we find ourselves on hamster wheels of patterns that seem to keep going round and round and repeating themselves, then that's because we're looking at the same frame of reference. We're not adjusting our frame of reference to tweak our trajectory into a different direction. Let's look at it this way. I can think of quite a lot of examples of things that have happened to me that could not possibly have happened had it not been for past events. So the question has to arise in your mind at that point whether the future event was the cause of the past event. Did the past event happen as it did as a direct result of what the future event was going to be? Our experience of life, we can see quite a lot of evidence for that possibly being the case. And in the world of physics also, it would seem correspondingly to be the case that the past and the future have equal influence on the present. If we think about the proliferation of quantum events that are occurring, neutrinos flying through us all the time, and countless numbers of, and the electrons that make up everything that's around us, the countless, everything in the quantum world is countless. You can't imagine the unfathomable numbers of things that are constantly changing, shifting, in flux from one thing to another all the time. Just have a look at the previous videos. There's lots on quarks and neutrinos and electrons and how they operate out there. This is a Feynman's diagram. It's a very typical Feynman's diagram. It doesn't have to have a particle on either end of it for this particular illustration. Diagram, very typically you'll find that one of the particles operates on positive time, i.e. it's moving forwards in time, the way we perceive time to be. The other particle, incoming, is moving backwards in time. So these two particles come together. This wavy line represents what is produced out of that collision. It's often a photon, it could be anything. So this is the thing that this collision creates. And then from that thing is produced another set of particles. Usually two, sometimes more, it just depends on what's going on. And these two particles also will have one travelling in the positive time frame, the forward motion, present to future, and the other will be travelling backwards, present to past. Why does this have such bearing on us if we can't consciously comprehend the equality of backwards forwards flow? Why does it matter? Well, I think it matters in our appreciation as much as anything else of uncertainty and how to work with uncertainty. Because the uncertainty principle is the big fuzzy element in physics. You cannot measure the speed of something, with how fast it's going, or its trajectory even, or its momentum, or anything to do with its movement, if you can measure its position. You can measure the other one, but you can't measure the other. So whichever you're measuring, forget about the other one, because you have no idea. So we are as uncertain as any particle in existence about what could be happening around us, what might happen next, what situation we might walk into, what might happen to the world, and so on and so forth. So we live in a continuous state of uncertainty. And dealing with that, living with it, capitalizing upon it, gives us room when we know about this stuff. It's an opportunity to explore. Essentially, we could be said to be the universe trying to find out about itself. is trying to gather information. We are information gathering units. We do this, alright? So the more information we gather and the more information we can use from the knowledge we're gathering, the more we can do with our world and manifest what it is that the universe wants of us to do. So while we're looking at this kind of framework from a Discworld point of view, bless Terry Pratchett, he's no longer with us, but his inspiration comes into this just as much as everybody else's. And yeah, we've got some work to do here. We're actually all subject to this kind of magic. It's not exclusive to anybody. It doesn't only come to some and not others. The world, the universe, fate, whatever it was, brought this bird to me. I didn't go out and buy him. I didn't choose him. He just manifested in my world. And he's important to me. There are many things that are going to be important to you. And one way or another, they're all capable of manifesting in your world. So, hey, here comes the end bit. What is real? What are the facts? The people who are producing the facts of the reality, the physicists out there working their little socks off to bring together the equations, are working hard with a particular point of view. But everybody has their own point of view. So when you bring your points of view together, you start cooking with gas. And we start making new agendas for things. We start making a difference. So I'm hoping very much to be able to see you soon and talk about other aspects that affect our lives. I hope you've enjoyed Discworld. And hey, don't forget to slam that subscribe button and like. See you later. Bye.